AM Studios, brought to you by Old Mutual.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jason Curtis speaking to none other than Moreira, all the way from
Mozambique, Maputo.
How are you this afternoon, sir?
I'm very well. I'm very well, Jason. And yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. Just as a way of introduction, for those that perhaps don't know who you are one of Mozambique's finest musical exports. And
thank you.
15 hours.
You have obviously a big investment in fostering young talent that's seen you aligned and working with some of the world's finest players and organizations that nurture music, culture, and education. So with a catalog that extends more than 14 years, and we're not going to count on all our fingers because we don't have enough of those, but you've got no less than 6 critically celebrated and awarded albums. Thank you for returning to Music Exchange in our 10th year. So it's a
congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
It's a great privilege to have you here. And today we're going to talk about where you see the continent, your music, and the economy that informs both, I suppose, and where they're headed.
Yeah. Congratulations first to Music Exchange, okay? And Martin, yourself, Jason, and everyone else involved. And most important, the young artists that attend Music Exchange, okay? I think it's a very, very important tool for the, not just upliftment of music, I would say culture in general, okay? And today, with the situation that we are facing, we are doing, I think it's the first virtual musical exchange conference, right? Is due to something.
But what makes it more extraordinary is that it's Music Exchange's first global conference, which, pandemic aside, it has opened up Music Exchange to a much broader audience, a lot like your music. So I think the opportunity for us to affect positive change at this critical time couldn't be more important and more powerful, thanks to the technology that I'm speaking to you on today. So thank you for your time, and thank you for joining us, and thank you for your ongoing contribution to building what Music Exchange has become over the last decade. So I'm going to jump right into it, if I may. And I think the question that a lot of people would want to be asking you is, how have you been spending your time, your creative time, since March? And really just to get a sense of the reality in Mozambique and the impact it continues to have on society and the entertainment economy in general.
This is an amazing question and a controversial question. Why? Because no one knew this was coming. No one knows still what this is. Okay. No one knows when it's going to end. We don't know if this is just the beginning. But for myself first, to answer your question, after 3 months within the coronavirus mode that we are, I had to make a decision. This came to stay. Okay. First, I'm a human being before being a musician. So I got a shock first. Okay. A thermic shock. It's like I'm on 45 degrees in Mozambique and all of a sudden I'm in minus 25 in Russia or Stockholm. And I go, hey, what this is? Then subconsciously, following the media, following the information that my government, through the president of the country, plus the Department of Health, following the information in South Africa and the rest of the world, I realized there's no way back. And this is a crisis for entertainment. This is a crisis for me as a saxophonist, a musician that plays with other people, a musician that believes that culture has no boundaries, has no frontiers, that the more we collaborate with other people from other cultures, the better we become, the better we contribute for the world. So how am I going to do that? Today, I'm sitting here with you, we're doing this virtually. We can still collaborate with musicians virtually, but there's something called the human factor. Is that hug, is that smell when you land in Cape Town, when you land in Harare, when you land in New York, or if you go to Moscow, Israel, whatever, okay? So that is gone for a while. So my creativity is based on a reflection of my life every day, okay? Because I am fed, my soul, my spirit is fed by people, okay? That's how it is. So now with this situation, the first thing I went into something called the defensive mode, where in a way you were like, hey, what's gonna happen? All my tours are canceled. International Jazz Day in Cape Town is canceled. Thanks, Music Exchange is not canceled. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So I said, what's my future? I'm gonna eat, I'm gonna pay my rent, I'm gonna feed my family, my wife and my kids. The investment we've made in Mozambique through the More Jazz Series, which is a jazz festival, the equivalent of Cape Town International or Joy of Jazz, what's going to happen? First thing you see is sponsors cutting the budgets, and it makes sense because everybody was affected. So I won't lie to you. I'm a very positive person. I'm a person with faith, but it was a shock in the beginning. I was like, oh man. I've never experienced nothing like this. And the more I read, the more I watched the news.
But more importantly, what did you do with that fear? What did you do with that anger, that frustration? Have you been able to be creative at this time and really turn this to hopefully some kind of an advantage for you and the community that you serve?
Yeah, first, the creativity is not an issue. It wasn't an issue even with this psychological shock that I got. Do you get what I'm saying?
I do.
Because I am creative all the time. Why? Because this is my cause. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, I don't get creative only when I'm happy or when I'm sad. It's the way it is. But why was I explaining this to you? Because psychologically, being on a defensive mode and reading the news and watching everything that is negative, before creativity, you have to shift, okay? And starting to look and putting a few things aside so that you create normally. You don't want to be creative because you're under the pressure of COVID. No, that's not fair for your soul. Because when you look at the news, is today 5,000 people infected, 500 people died. You can't, you know? So I had to say, because I don't want tomorrow you to buy my next record, sorry, okay? And because music is a reflection of everything I live, I enjoy, and hope. So you're gonna have, which is not me. I'm a person who's positive. So what I did regarding my creativity, I look at the situation that we are and I look at the positive things that COVID brought, okay? So that I can create a nice cocktail. And the positive things is the world is sober, okay? I look at this as starting off like, it's sober. No one is traveling, there's less pollution. No one is moving around. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's a great opportunity for whatever I write, whatever I blow when I practice. Do you understand? Start from zero. You know, when you do, you have to start from zero, okay? Because I saw on social media, I saw with the streaming, and I said, no, we are giving too much attention to COVID and less attention to our hearts. Do you get what I'm saying? So yes, I've been working, I've been composing, yes, indeed. I've been collaborating with artists like in India, Jagadesh in India. And for me, let me tell you, Jason, was a bit heavy because Mozambique, the president of Mozambique declared state emergency on the 24th of March, if I'm not mistaken. Are we together? Yeah. And the day before Manu Dibango died, or the day after, it was you know what I'm saying? It was too much, you know what I'm saying? And that's why I said to you that I had to do a psychological exercise. Then with the young musicians that I work with, and you know, very well, virtually, and thanks to technology, I had to do the same exercise. Okay, because people don't know what's going to happen, and let me be very honest. I live in South Africa. I'm privileged to have lived in South Africa. I have a family in South Africa. You guys are my family. I have friends. I have mentors like Brasipo. But there is, although South African artists and creators think that the structure is not solid, but South African music industry is the most structured industry in Africa. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So now, when you look at Mozambican music industry, it's not as structured as the one in South Africa. So you can imagine what the artists in Mozambique are going through in terms of legislation, okay, tools that protect their intellectual property. So our job, the creative process, which is to write, to perform, to research, it has to go beyond that. It has to go motivating the artists, okay, that now they can't, these artists who made decisions to be musicians and they can't play today. You get what I'm saying? So they don't earn a living. So a lot of people started giving up, you know. Then some part of society that says, I told you, you shouldn't be a musician, you should be an accountant. Then, so all those things are good, but can be very negative for creativity. I know that the blues comes from pain, it's good, but it's got to be your heart, your soul. You know, we cannot have rage, too much rage on it, you understand? Otherwise, we built a society with rage. That's not our job, right?
And a negative.
We are healers. Yeah. We are healers. Yeah. We are messengers. Yeah. So just to explain to you that it evolved more than writing songs. Do you get what I'm saying? And today that Mozambique is opening, it's opening a bit. Looks like from October, okay, we start having, like you can do performance for a certain number of people, okay, not a lot. The exercise is even deeper.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Because there will be less venues. People, I don't know if everybody will go out to listen to the music and pay for the music, because a lot of people got the music for free on internet. Yeah, you get what I'm trying to say? And the bands cannot be cannot have big bands like quartets or whatever, which is cool. So what I'm trying to say, the exercise continues. So now, going to your point, I think we're going to have an amazing explosion of creativity. You know,
a spring, yeah. The season is changing. Yeah. There is a spring, and I mean that actually brings me very, very well, or very succinctly, to the next point: is that someone like yourself that has, you've evolved and almost reinvented yourself throughout your career because of, never mind a COVID reality, but just a general economic and just global reality, is that Moreira is more than just a musician. You're a brand.
Yeah.
And how did you develop that? You know, and I suppose I've kind of answered the question by saying, why would you do that? But you understood the power of being, no, I don't want to diminish the word musician, but that you have more to offer than just that one thing. So you established a brand, and that brand is you, and that brand is multifaceted. You want to take us through that?
This is an amazing question because I did not do anything special. I don't consider myself special. I believe that copying is modeling of success. And if we go and look, I am a privileged Mozambican, African, who had access to information. And let me tell you, you can be the most amazing player, okay? But this is the 21st century, my friend, okay? Where 80% of the world's global population is young. And young people ask questions. And today, they don't necessarily go into the old style libraries that me and you go. I can see here your library, your biblioteca, your discography, which I also have. But they use these tools, you understand, the cell phones, and everything is fast. So I urge to young people to go back in history of music, of culture. What I'm doing is not special. Today I represent Volvo cars, okay? Yesterday I represented Jeep, but I'm nothing because this happened before. James Brown was already with the radio stations in the 70s and the Burger Kings, etc. Who am I? So I just look back in history. It's important that artists go back and start reading biographies about artists that they respect and they love, okay? Because or books about them. It doesn't have to necessarily just be biographies. And it doesn't have to be just about artists. If it's business people, then because there is a tendency for me to make you feel sorry for myself. You get what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So I'm in trouble. I have no money to pay rent. I can't pay my mortgage in this case. So everybody must feel sorry for Moreira. Okay? It's natural because it's a psychological status that you are. Okay? So the technique is, how do I come out of that? You're only going to come out of that if you go look for a reference that you love and look at this person. What did he go through? If you go, I was watching this morning on Bloomberg interview with Bill Gates. Okay? So if you go and look at his story, he's a billionaire, blah, blah, blah. You won't believe what he went through. Then you'll say, oh God, I'm being lazy, man. That guy went through that. Steve Jobs. Do you get what I'm saying? Michael Jordan, LeBron James. Okay, so I'm talking about bringing commercial value into your persona is by associating yourself with people and brands with commercial value. Because the spiritual value, you already have it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I had to say that it's already so hard to just depend on music, okay? You know how the situation is with our royalties.
Sure.
I don't want to get into politics, you know what I'm saying? You know how the situation is with payments and blah, 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 okay? The fact that I'm established artist does not mean that the other 98% are okay. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. Okay. So for me, I had to go and say, I love music. I am a musician. I am a saxophone player. How can I make this work without necessarily compromise my creativity? Absolutely. I want, in 20 years' time, I want to still make music the same way. I don't want to make music because I have to pay rent. I want to make music the same way. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? Life is, it's my choice. And I don't criticize you guys otherwise.
So, honesty, integrity, all of those things that your audience love, you get to retain that. But saying that, you, in going into these endeavors, the demands and the challenges, the pitfalls that come along with that, in accepting these partnerships, which a lot of the time are very lucrative, but the bottom line is that obviously they are looking to trade off of your celebrity, trade off of your personality. But if it's quid pro quo, if it is reciprocal and respectful, those are good partnerships. But things that you've experienced, obviously, because you do have successful partnerships, where you would say to somebody who's rubbing their hands together going, oh, I should be doing this. Things to look out for, things to be aware of, because it's not all just a big check at the,
no, it's not pretty at all. And let me be realistic with you. Let's talk about Volvo. Was born as a Swedish brand. Today's got Chinese money. Okay. So they've evolved. Okay. So what I'm going back to basics now. The basics of us is human. You have to have relationships with people first. Brands don't exist. Brands are abstract. brands and just names created, but they only exist because people make the brands. So you have to be in contact with musicians, with people. I usually say, as a saxophone player, I came here to see you. When I come out of here, okay, I can go and meet with my bass player, Elder Gonzaga, and have a beer or watch a game. But tomorrow morning, I'm not going to be with him. Yeah. I refuse. For as much as I love him, I'm going to hang with a lawyer. The next day, I'm going to hang with an architect. Yeah. The next day, I'm going to hang with an economist. The next day, I'm going to hang with a guy who doesn't even have a job, but he has better ideas than me. So what I'm trying to say is we have to learn to live out of our comfort zone. And because our comfort zone makes us lazy, do you understand? And we don't look for options. Do you get what I mean? Yep. Man, you'll be sitting with a guy, give an example, he's a big fan of yours. I'm just giving an example, and he runs Woolworths. I'm just throwing a name. For 10 years, but you'll never come with an idea that, come on, man, you have chocolates on the last shelf of Woolworths before I pay my bills. What about having CDs? I'm just giving an example, like Starbucks did it. Yeah. But because you don't hang with people that see that, you're always hanging with the same, so you become narrow-minded. Yeah. But by saying this, I'm not saying that my life is pretty. I'm not saying that I've achieved everything. No, because I'm fighting every day. Sure. But what brings you, this marriages, I call this marriages, like I have a wife, okay? When we got married, it was like beautiful, the perfect, but life is made up and downs. You have to manage like a relationship. Sure. So I'm ambassador for Radisson. Radisson is a global hotel. There is standards. Do you understand? They have 1,000+ hotels in the world. That puts me under pressure. The other thing is you have to live with positive pressure, not negative social pressure. So those things, that's what make athletes every day, LeBron James, to keep #1, Lewis Hamilton, Tiger Woods, you name it. Today, I'm sure you actually making me miss no, it's later. The New York Open, right? Where Osaka, the Japanese girl with a black father. It's interesting, right? Playing with Azarenka, who from Belarus, who's with trouble in Belarus. Can you imagine the pressure of those girls by nature just being on a final?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And with Black Lives Matter, all these things that COVID in a way. So we have to live under pressure. And because what happens is, I got tired of criticizing the world, Jason. You understand? Government doesn't do this. Civil society doesn't do this for us. I ask myself, it's not what Mozambique can do for me, it's what I can do for Mozambique. Yeah. After that, it's not what I can do for Mozambique, it's what can we do for Africa. So when I talk to you today and using this platform, which is global, and thanks for making me, for me to be amongst, I got fat today, I got fat because the names that are this year, the big guys in the world.
Very much.
Yeah.
You are one.
And the music exchange, what you've achieved, again, congratulations for the 10th anniversary, will allow me to say something that with COVID, okay, there is a once opportunity for our governments, African governments within the SADC bloc, Southern Africa, where we have 16 countries, to realize that culture is a super priority, okay? That from today, with the world, travel is gonna become very expensive. Producing big festivals is gonna become even super expensive with distancing, sponsorship, etc., etc., etc. Time has come for us to say, let's look at our bloc as SADC. How can we explore amongst ourselves, okay? Travel from Namibia to South Africa to Maputo to Botswana. How can we? Because that's the future. It's always been there. That's what Europe has always done. Yeah, you get what I'm trying to say.
But do you see that happening? Do you actually see that happening? Because I think, as you say earlier, it's not about pointing fingers or going, it's someone else's fault or this is happening. You've done a lot of work, philanthropic and political, in trying to broker and bring governments together between Mozambique, South Africa. And yes, I think I'm not saying it's idealistic, but yes, the idea, the opportunity to bring, to have this happen. You see the potential of it, but realistically, I see that the only people that are going to make that happen are going to be the likes of you, because the governments of our countries can't get it together, nor will they, because they have so many things that they need to consider. And I'm not allowing them to pass the buck, but I just think if there is a role to play, if there is a role for musicians to play, you've shown and proven that the only way that can happen is that if you as a musician get actively involved and that you inform your futures, correct?
Yes. So you're absolutely right. When I speak about governments, I speak more governments in terms of legislation. Not that governments have to give anything. Governments don't have to give us money. They are facilitators for us. How do I see this happening? And I've already started, although I'm not succeeding, it takes time. Is that if you look the companies, South Africa being one of the most industrialized countries in Africa, okay? And if you look at the top 10 or 20 companies in South Africa, okay, you can divide them in different, like from supermarkets, from hotels, blah, 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 blah. They're all in Mozambique, they're all in Zimbabwe, they're all in, you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So people pay taxes. These companies pay taxes. They have to have that's where I'm speaking about governments. They have to come because governments in Africa, in SADC in particular, they have other responsibilities. And by the way, I'm saying this also because my president, Philippe Jacinto News, is the new president of SADC. So we will start putting pressure.
This is good for you. And you've got him on speed dial. So this is good.
I wish. So just to say that when I look and I drive around in Mozambique, I have ShopRite, I have Woolworths, I have Standard Bank, I have NetBank, I have Absa, etc., 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 etc. What I'm trying to say that I think we should get organized. Do you understand? Because at the end of the day, these companies, when they come, they say, okay, fantastic, this is amazing, okay? But what do we get back beside publicity, okay? Because you know what I'm saying, the trades. So do we get tax breaks for investing on this? Do you get what I'm trying to say? Unfortunately, some countries are more organized than the others. So there is this discrepancy. So if we look at the block, but I see this happening. I do see this happening. And in less than 5 years, actually.
This is fantastic. But I do think that it's important, like exactly what you were saying earlier, is that you kind of shoehorn your way into that conversation. You're part of that debate. You are meeting with these people, like you were saying earlier, with regards to the different audiences that you talk to on every day of your life. You are making sure that you are part of those conversations and that you are, where you can influence that in a positive way for the collective good of the entertainment economy.
So that's how I see. I'm saying this is a mid to long term sustainability for the industry. Okay, where we can create platforms that feed the artists, not just with venues, with the festivals, with education programs like yours. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So I believe on that, and I've got faith. Under my capacity and my team, we do everything we can, and we shall indeed. Okay, and as I told you, I believe on that. Now, going back to your other question, brands don't exist. Brands are fed by people. So make friends. You got to make friends. You cannot just sit on your comfort zone and hang with people that just like you. You have to hang as well with people that criticize you constructively. And sometimes people will criticize you destructively, very negative, harsh words. Try and just take the positive out of it. You have to be focused. If you focus on the end goal. The end goal is a result, and only you know what the result is. That's why in the beginning of this conversation, I mentioned to you, this is more of a psychological exercise and less that what is the creativity, because at the moment, you know, we are super exposed. Why? With one finger, I write what I'm feeling on my heart on Instagram, and everybody knows, oh, Moreira is really broke, man. Do you see what is he writing about? And that's not good, because we influence young people. And I said the world's population is young. Okay, so we have to look at this as a sacrifice as an investment, okay, that not one person will do. You are doing it. We agreed that today we were talking at 3 o'clock. I was here, you were there. This is already happening. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't late. You were not late. Do you get what I'm trying to say? You created the conditions for this. I thank you. So we mustn't take things for granted. Life is too short. And that's the positive side of COVID. What I see is that whoever doesn't realize that Estopoli sucks now and get ready and is waiting for COVID to end, by the time COVID ends, if it ends, okay, we're already going to Mars with Volvo.
And this is the thing. I think a lot of musicians, I think there must be a high level of frustration where certain artists, whether they were starting a tour or whether they were about to launch an album or release a single, and then COVID hit. And that was kind of their moment, because in the music industry, there's always the talk around being in the right place at the right time. And you're like going, now is my moment, and now COVID happens, and you're like going, but how, I've lost my moment, that little slice that was left for me to achieve some kind of acclaim or some kind of fortune. And to your point, not necessarily. It is up to the individual to say, okay, I'm going to take an opportunity. And COVID is an overtraded example of that, because you've suffered all kinds of adversity pre-COVID, whether it was not getting the record deal, not getting the tour, not getting the sponsor, but yet you dusted yourself off, you got back up, and you got out there. And I think if any industry in the world is geared to come out the back of this, it is the entertainment economy, because this is not new territory for you, right?
No. And then let's be realistic. Show business will always be a struggle. So live with it, man. Come on, what's wrong with you? You know what I'm saying?
Suck it up.
Yeah, suck it up. We know that. So we know that. Show business, there will be always a copyright lawyer trying to screw you. There will be a recording label trying to screw you. There will be a regulator not paying your dividends from your royalties the way you deserve. So it's life. I'm not saying I agree. So what I'm saying, this is what it is. My question is, let's think like athletes. They train 4 years to go to the Olympics. Okay? So us have an opportunity, and especially us, we had access to education. And let me tell you, there's a lot of artists that are taking advantage of this situation, doing different types of collaborations. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Very much. We're doing different types of collaboration. So for me, actually, the guys in South Africa have more advantages. They've got a structure. You understand? They've got a structure. And they speak English. My country was colonized by Portugal. Okay, so we speak as official language Portuguese. Okay, of course, beside our dialects and our traditional and indigenous languages. But all the countries that are in the border with Mozambique are English-speaking countries. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah. But of course, being Africans, we have similarities because of our heritage. So what am I saying in a way? Is like language can be an advantage, but can be a barrier depending on your mindset. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
So I see beautiful things happening in South Africa. Amazing things, amazing collaborations that are happening. And how do we motivate people to believe that they can? And how do we talk to young artists and young musicians to say that it's normal to have a good day and have a bad day? How do we speak with artists to look at this not as a long-term project? How do we speak to artists to look at how do we take advantage of technology to ourselves? Okay, being every day on YouTube or whatever it means nothing. Sorry, with all the respect, because the market is flooded. There is so much information available. How are you going to filter what is good?
But then where do you go? Where does someone like you go to get that kind of input, that kind of injection that you need to help direct your career?
That's a great question. I believe, I believe that there are things that happen that are not under my control, but they derive from the type of energy that I put into the world. Okay, so I'm talking about now living your life with the attitude of a winner. I know that there is a distinct line between a winner and being arrogant. I know. Love and hate. I'm not talking about hate. I'm not talking about arrogant. I'm saying living your life knowing that today I'm going through a storm, but I shall survive. In the process, I will lose my house. Yes, indeed, but I shall survive and I'll rebuild 2 houses.
Yeah.
Because, Jason, let me tell you something. It's more of a psychological exercise. We need help. It's not about playing scales, playing music. It's not about having the best deal or having the wrong deal. You know a lot of people that had multi-million-dollar deals and they broke today. You know a lot of sports people that had over $150 million, they're broke today. So it's not about that. It's about psychological. It's about showing that you shouldn't feel sorry for yourself. It's about showing that it's naturally to win today and lose tomorrow. It's part of life. You shouldn't be afraid of failing. So once you accept those, you can start making plans for long term. You get what I'm saying? So you can have a plan, knowing that on Monday there will be rain there, but I'll go this way. It will take me longer. But you'll say, wow, why am I going so fast? Maybe I should join forces with Moreira and Mark and whatever. Maybe together we won't go as fast as, but we'll go further. To get what I'm saying.
Commitment, it's about commitment. It's about making the investment, which you've absolutely done. And
the time.
Yeah.
And the time. One thing that we don't respect, and you know that, is time. We don't respect time. We take time for granted. We have to respect time. I have to respect your time. And those are the small ingredients that for me, sometimes people take advantage of us within the music industry.
Yeah, very much.
Because we lack those things.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you have a situation tomorrow of a gentleman or a lady that doesn't have a talent that Mr. X has and explodes, but she's so professional, but she doesn't have the talent of that person.
Yeah.
Why? But she has those basic ingredients. Okay. Communication, presentation. You understand? When you promise, you do. I don't know if you understand, because it's not just about playing the instrument. Sorry, it's not about being creative at all. Because at the end of the day, we are products. We are products. No one buys the Moreira project. You can't touch the Moreira project. What it is?
Yeah.
You buy a package. You buy a product. You pay 100 or 79 rand for a project. And that product becomes yours, like when you buy a car, when you buy a bottle of whiskey, and you do whatever you want with it. So how do I convince you?
Yeah.
Listen, this is becoming so serious that's scary as well. Listen, I haven't traveled in 6 months, man.
No, that's not right.
I don't stay. I haven't been on a plane in 6 months. I don't stay 2 weeks on the ground floor, man.
And how are you doing?
You know what I'm trying to say. And now, even if you send me a ticket, I'll be, I'm afraid. Where do you want me to go? To Brazil? No, the rates. Now I'll have a family meeting. Say, are you sure? You need the money, but Brazil at the moment the numbers are, you see, so there is a lot. So those things are part. So it's not just about music.
No.
It will take courage with everything else we spoke before, but it will take courage and attitude and faith. It will take a lot of courage. For me to be talking with you here, when I finish this, then I'll go, oh my God, what did I just say? I'm so broke. I lost that contract because of COVID. But what did I just say? It's not what did I just say. I really meant what I said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I live by that principle, with that contract or without that contract.
And be consistent, which I think certainly for someone like yourself, you have been consistent and remain consistent. And that is a big part of your success.
Yes. And if you look at industry like in America, you have amazing speakers. Gold stock. You have amazing speakers, and if you look at the music industry in the United States, okay,
that was gold stock, yeah.
I don't think it is the music industry in the United States. For me, is the world's music industry because whatever is released in America is consumed in Mozambique and South Africa and Iran, everywhere. But the same doesn't happen here. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So it's a different animal. I was in the States in 2000. And one of the amazing things, I live there actually. One of the amazing things, one of the best experience I had was when I went to Tower Records in Chicago. You know, I was like, wow, you know, the smell of the LPs, the CDs, the book was like
layers and
wow.
floors and floors and floors. Just
you imagine, right?
Yeah.
And I bought this book about the music business. And I'm not gonna be very precise. I don't remember for the study was for which year, but it mentioned that around that time, there were 10 million musicians registered in the United States. I'm saying 10, I'm not saying registered that pay that they're the car, 10 million. So what I'm talking about so I said, I can just release for musicians. So it makes sense that you release a record and in 1 week you sell 1 million copies. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but there is a structure. But it's not about the structure, Jason. It's about the mindset that society understands that we need culture and we owe it to culture, either music, sculpture, painting, art, you know, that's why the industry is robust. You get what I'm trying to say? It's robust from Hollywood to whatever. It's robust and it's integrated, you know? The whole value chain is included. So for us also, we have to really force the legislations and we have to force that they must stop look at music. They have to look at culture. Because music on its own won't survive. You have to look at the entire value chain. The whole value chain. From photographers to artists to poets to whatever. You get what I'm trying to say? That will feed the film industry. That will fill the theaters. That will fill the galleries. Then you'll have a strong market. But this job is about how do we make people believe? Because sometimes I'm dealing with kids, Jason, that I met 6 years ago. Let me give you an example. If I met him, he was 10 years, okay? And today he's 16, man. And he's about to finish his matric. Then he says to me, Mo, I spoke to my father, I really am gonna be a musician. I wanted to do law. Then I look and I say, oh my God. But that boy was inspired by me.
Yeah.
What do I say to him?
Yeah.
What tools do I have to give to him as a facilitator for him? Do you get what I'm trying to say? Today, he can't even go and study in Cape Town.
Yeah.
So every day, it's a challenge that brings you backwards. That's why we have to be strong psychologically because we are not the United States.
No.
Okay?
No.
We don't have that, but I believe in this Africa. Trust me, I believe on this. I'm not saying this in 50 years, I'm saying in 5, 6 years. Trust me, we will have this conversation again.
But the irony is that the rest of the world, the Americas of the world, are looking to Africa and they are the ones saying that Africa is the next big thing. And yet you believe it, but as Africans, we're not particularly good at promoting ourselves in the way that the world clearly perceives that there is this power or there is this ability and potential that they see.
Okay, I think there is two things here that we have to look at it. Let's go back to the United States and with this whole thing that Africa is the next big thing. Trust me, United States is show business. With all the respect, my colleagues there, they are very good. Truth, right? So just to let you know that the Americans have no choice. It's true. Africa is the next big thing because of one thing, content. Sorry, they can't live without us, with all the respect. And because of our weak infrastructure, they're going to get it for cheap. And they're getting for cheap. Now, going back to us as Africans, yes, you're right. We don't have we don't promote, my friend, how can you promote yourself with an empty stomach?
True that. Yeah.
I don't, I'm just going down that way. Is to say that going back, we need treatment, to believe, because this is hard. You know how hard it is. The next day, God forgive me, Moreira passed away. You go to the funeral, the family didn't even have money to buy a coffin. Am I right? So it's, but you saw him playing with big artists, touring the world. You know, in the United States, what you see when you see a person winning a Grammy doing that, it's equal in the bank. You get what I'm saying? It's equal in the bank. In the bank. Now, how he manages his resources, his money, it's his problem. Are we together? If you are touring with Pink Floyd, Bryan Adams, Gloria Stefan, I'm speaking, or Jay-Z, P. Diddy, the late Prince, it's equal in the bank, okay?
Yeah.
If you record, they protect your contribution, it's equal. Now, what you do with your money is other thing.
Up to you.
Yeah. You can be in all the billboards. You know what I'm trying to say. Huh? Your song can play on prime time 70 times for 2 years. Very few go to the bank and see it.
So how do you change that? How do you change the way that...
That's where we need, it's legislation. It's legislation. We have no, and what we're doing now already, Jason, it's a different conversation. This conversation is changed already. I'll make sure I share this conversation, not just on my platforms, because this is probably the first conversation I'm having in 2 months. I've participated in a lot of things in this level after 6 months of this knockout of COVID, where I'm looking for other type of solutions beside my music, my playing. You get what I'm saying? That's why I spoke with the conversation of SADC. And I said, my president is the president of SADC. I want to take advantage of that. You get what I'm saying? But I can't do it again alone. This is a positive, constructive provocation that I'm using with you, which probably will cost me, because people say, hey, Moreira, you are talking too much. I said, desperation, necessity is the mother of all creations.
Yeah, but it's necessary. It's necessary conversation. But also, what I love about what you're saying is that at no point are you relinquishing ownership. You're saying, I am responsible for me. I'm going to take responsibility for me. And if the bigger or the greater the number of people there are like you in that way of thinking, like you're saying, you have to change your mindset in order to say, I'm not going to be putting my hand out going, poor Moreira, don't you want to help me out? You want people to buy into what you're about, because you are so good at what you do, and that you have presented an extraordinary body of work. I mean, your work with Manu Dibango, the late great Manu Dibango. I mean, there are so many lessons that man would have taught you, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
But you made that happen. You worked
in back.
How many years? How many years did that relationship take? That was a 4-5 year journey before you got to the point of even sitting down in the studio, right?
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. And you know what scares me most? I'm 43, man. That gentleman passed away. He was 85.
You got somewhere to go.
And he was still touring.
Yeah.
He was performing. So that puts pressure on me. Who am I to complain, Jason? You know? Who am I to complain? He had these challenges as well.
Sure.
You know? He went on stage and played a 2.5 hour set without a score. Remember all the arrangements. Who am I to complain? You know, when I sat with him, and thank you, God, and I heard these stories, I used to go out of his house and say, Jesus, I'm a lazy bastard. I'm lazy. So listen, when he started telling his journey, when I sat with Brayu Masikela, many times, but the last time he was in Mozambique, and I said, guys, please, what these guys went through, we are just lazy and sometimes overspoiled. Do you get what I'm saying?
I do.
We are so good in what we do, but we are so self-centered and obsessed with ourselves that we forget that in order for us to go forward, we can't go alone. We have to do partnerships. We need partners. And when you have a partner, you have to honor your relationship, your partnership.
Respect it.
It's not about saying, tomorrow I'm sending you the CEO of Starbucks is in Cape Town for wine tasting. He wants to meet you for coffee at 10. He saw you playing at Norval Foundation. Would you want to talk to him? Oh, yes. 9 o'clock, the guy is there, the artist doesn't pitch. Come on, bro.
What are you doing? Yeah, you touch on an interesting point, because there is this weird culture, unfortunately, and I don't know if that applies in Mozambique, where there is this entitlement debate. And I think particularly in the entertainment industry, where people are feeling, you know, that, oh yes, but I did my 10,000 hours and I've worked so hard and I've been disenfranchised. Now the world somehow kind of owes me a living. Sorry, dude.
Oh, my goodness God, Jason. I know a lot of artists won't like what I'm saying. I know, but it's okay. It's fine, but it's true. We think the world owes us an apology. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah.
And especially jazz artists, because they play difficult chords, they play difficult stuff, and they think, I say, my friend, look around you. What's wrong with you? You know, look around, look at the history. We were privileged, we went to school, we read about this artist.
Yeah.
We have a chance to make it different. And we don't have to invent anything because the wheel's been invented. So for me, talking to you now, today, Saturday, today is the 11th, the future, it's collaboration, okay, with my fellow partners in my country, corporate companies, try to resell the Mozambican dream in a new context, making a regional approach to our SADC countries, because the late Oliver Mtukudzi played in Mozambique, everybody loved him, okay? So it's one, okay? Yuma Sikala loved Mozambique, came and gone, okay? Okay? Go to Angola, Paulo Flores loves Mozambique, Mozambique loves. So those are links. You can have a product, but if you don't have a market to distribute your product, but the problem is we have the markets. We are not being smart enough to create a structure and use those lands, because there's flights to all this place I've told you. Even by car you can get there.
Yeah.
So the question is, how do we do this? First, the mind. We have to make it believe that you are also worthwhile. You live in Moreira, yes, you play at the waterfront, but you also can play in Swaziland, in Babane. You live in Babane, you can also play in Maputo, because artists did that. You live in Maputo, you can also play in Lusaka. You live in Lusaka, you can also play in Windhoek. You understand? What's the European tours? What are they? It's what I'm saying to you. You're booked in a festival in Belgium, other promoters work together, then they say, okay, man, we give you a 25-day tour. Yeah. 2 days in Belgium, 3 days in Spain, 4 days in Portugal, 1 day in Germany. That's what it is.
Yeah, yeah, and being open to that. And I think, and being willing to make that commitment. Moreira, one last question before we close off. We've spoken about everything else we've touched on your philanthropy, but we haven't gotten into that. But more importantly, and you have done an extraordinary amount, you continue to do a lot of work in your own country and in South Africa too. But what's next? Because with all of the learning, certainly even if it's take 2020, what is the road look like ahead for Moreira late 2020 into 2021? Whether we can get on planes or not?
No. Looks beautiful. Looks amazing. Why? Number one, because I'm at peace with myself. I've accepted the situation, okay? And this allows me to move a step further, okay? To look to, okay, now I've accepted, I'm good, okay? So what's next, as you said? This year we were releasing a new album, just for you to know. Okay, we are no longer doing. I refuse to say that, hey, what everybody says, 2020 is it's a year. No. The year ends on the 31st at 12 p.m. 12. So it's not over. Yeah, it's not over. So and the other thing is, what's in for Moreira is that when I share with my friends, my partners, but this I'm very serious across everybody, because with COVID, affected the hotel and tourism industry. Hotel and tourism industry employed artists to perform, employed people that gave food to the restaurants. So the whole value chain has been affected. So what I'm trying to say is this: out of COVID, we shall remember 2020, how you came out of it.
Yeah,
that's how I see it. I don't see it how many people died, how many people were affected. No. I've passed that, because all the TV channels will tell me that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I actually jump. I don't want to see it. I refuse. So what I'm trying to say is, okay, we have COVID. Do we accept it? Okay, yes. Is it a problem? Huge problem. But listen, they say out of the Second World War and the First World War, big brands came out of that. Breitlings of this world and men. So what I'm trying to say is, how can we, and I'm doing that as I'm talking to you, I'm looking at 2020 and 2021, I'm already conscious that nothing will change. We will have to readapt. Instead of playing in my venue, for 300 people, I can only probably play for 100 with some limitations. It is what it is. You get what I'm saying? So now, how do I convince my partners that my value is still the same? Okay? Yeah. So that's what's next. This is what's happening now. You get what I'm trying to say? I have a jazz festival. We invested money that we didn't even have. We're still fighting to pay our debts. Am I crying? No. I look pretty, beautiful with you. And I believe that we are going to find a way. We cannot do no more at Jat Cinco, which is downtown. We did copy a similar of the Green Market in Cape Town, when Cape Town International.
Yep.
Yeah, 10,000. We can't do that now.
Yeah, but you can do something. You are.
Thank you very much. We are starting, for instance, now in October, because of this new law, we're starting sessions here. They call the More Jazz Sunsets sessions once a month, but very top, and that is dedicated mostly to corporate Mozambique. It's a platform to renegotiate, to get their trust and say, hey, hello, we're still here and we matter, and you need us and we need you.
And we're not going anywhere.
No, we're not going. We're right here, Jason. We're right here. Do you get what I'm saying? So make music is the easiest part. The point is, what do you want to do with music? Are you making music for your wife and your kids? Are you making music for your mother? Are you making music for the world? If it's for the world, how do you want it to get there? You can get it now on Facebook for free. Be famous. How do you want to get there? Because at the end of the day, from the moment the CD is done, it's no longer music, it's a product.
True.
And a product needs to be bought.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? That's my philosophy. You know, by the moment it's finished, you go into a gallery, you go to someone's artist studio, you see him working. By the time the stuff is framed in a gallery, it's a product.
Commodity. Yeah.
Commodity. Right word, sorry. Commodity.
Yeah. But I think what's beautiful about what you're saying, and I think there's an opportunity as we close here to say to artists that, yes, if you cannot play to 10,000 people like you used to, should you have been in that position, the opportunities for that live performance, that critical live performance that artists need in order to be creative, but for the fans too, is that the music will be there, the product, the commodity will be there, but the live performance is going to become I think, a much more cherished, much more coveted, and more
luxury,
which is not a bad thing.
It can make it more expensive.
It brings back and it celebrates the quality component, because I think over time, as things have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, the value's been diluted, right?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Cost and benefit.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So the day you're going to find gold right in front of your house and your neighbor as well, and everybody else in your neighborhood, the gold won't have the same value.
Exactly. And you, sir, you are not gold. You're a diamond. Yeah. And it is a pleasure to have spent this hour with you, and I thank you for the commitment.
Jason, I hope you enjoyed. I could talk to you for when I come to Cape Town, when they allow me. We must go for lunch or dinner, my friend. But it must be a long lunch.
I agree. But thank you so much for today.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I know that Martin and everyone at Music Exchange thanks you for your ongoing commitment and contribution, not only to Music Exchange, but to the continent, and certainly to SADC and to that investment. So thank you.
Congratulations to you, to Martin, the entire team. I know it's not easy, to Brasipo, our godfather, and don't stop, man. Keep walking. Just don't stop.
Music has changed. How it makes us feel never will. The time is now to visit amstudios.co.za.